Really?
Yeah. Describe what psychoanalysis is. Detail the rules of ego, superego, and the id. Also, I'll probably ask during the bell ring. I know it's not up there, but behaviorism. We talked about that yesterday. So, mention that.
She has to go to the
Huh?
The cheerleaders got called.
So it's just you two. All right. Okay. So what's our scenario?
I didn't know it was You're just saying oh yeah, that's probably no my because she has or we could and I'm just and I would say that that's my thought and she should just call the cops. And then I'm not sure. You make me feel bad. Is that what you do? That's why I'm going. You know? So, it is about, no, we're talking about Superego. Good. Superego is the good one. And then I need the one. Yeah. And ego is the way you present yourself. The moderator. I need with ego. I need a picture. And then you. No. I think and I come in. I think it's too early. And it's nothing like. I remember that. I didn't find it. And you expected now. That's sometimes I use ladies at Walmart. Sometimes Katie's house can surprise you. Ladies do that at Walmart. Yeah, but you can. I could be very good. Well, yeah. No one has ever been like, oh, I went to your money. It's how it's how it's
Okay, hold on. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna start. We'll use this one. It's just- All right, guys. So I'm getting tired of writing passes out when you go. So this is gonna be the pass.
Oh my. That's your
That
pass?
is a
Yeah.
great pass.
That was the pass?
It was. When were you all born?
So you 2006.
We're born 2005.
November 2nd.
2001.
I don't care who's what. I'm doing it.
Yep. All right, there you go. That's the pass license plate.
And I'm.
Oh, McKenna. All right, hey, we're gonna review this here soon.
Okay. So Sarah murdered. Okay, so I'm saying that I should her and she was very probably. So I'm the super ego and what was. So she decides. So we're finding it and then.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we're finding it and
Gosh,
then you're.
That's really out there.
I'm like, you're the mom.
Holy
Okay,
cow.
it makes sense now.
All right, here, let's get going here. Let's start with behaviorism. What is behaviorism? So we talked about Watson yesterday, John Watson, famous psychologist, behaviorist. I know it's not out there, but we talked about it yesterday. I just want to review it, make sure we all know it. So behaviorism, what is it? What is it? This perspective, this historical approach to psychology. What do we got? Leah, go ahead.
It's when mind started the black box, you open understood, and people thought that you shouldn't just guess because you get no action. That's what all the customer actions.
Good, awesome, good job, good job. So at that time, obviously, they didn't have the technology to study the brain and understand the functions, the purpose of it, and the different parts of the brain. So rather than trying to deep dive into the brain, we're just going to understand how people react to certain stimulus. So how people behave in their environment, certain situations, okay? And we talked about a few experiments yesterday, like Ivan Pavlov, okay, with conditioning, and how it is including a neutral stimulus into making a dog react, right, salivate before it gets fed by the ringing of a bell. I know I mentioned that yesterday. I even talked about Skinner and his pigeon experiments, his rats experiments, okay, and how this was including positive and negative reinforcement. So with food or electrical shock, okay. So with behaviorism, this is the response to a stimulus. This is how an organism, a person, reacts to a certain environmental impact. Okay, this might be just a stimulus that's presented. All right, good. We good with behaviorism? All right, like I said, I just want to review that before we moved on. All right, psychoanalysis. So where does this viewpoint come from? Who's this famous psychologist we mentioned yesterday that introduced us? Here we go. Yep, Freud. Good job, Sigmund Freud. And we'll mention more about Sigmund Freud here in the next upcoming chapters about the consciousness. What's this, a pass?
I got called down.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So we'll talk about the unconscious mind. We'll talk about his theories of the dream state and how we interpret dreams, storyline of dreams. So manifest and latent content within this type of unconscious drive. All right, so we'll mention that more when we get to chapter 5, so towards the end of the year. But he describes this conflict between our conscious mind, unconscious, and preconscious. And how does he do that? Well, through the ego, superego, and the id. So what is the id? Let's start there. The id. Go ahead, Madison.
The id is like the devil on the shoulder is impulse, basic, like urges.
Good. So desires, secrets, drives, impulses, like you said. This is the unconscious mind. And when he related to the iceberg, where is the id located?
Very bottom.
The very bottom, right? So this is the biggest part of the iceberg. Okay, this is actually what is depicting our personalities, our characteristics, but it's up to the superego and the ego to suppress this, right? Okay, good, good. So this is the unconscious mind. This is these inner desires, these wants, these secrets. Okay, obviously, if we have a close relationship with someone, we might share some of our wants and desires, but that has to be someone really close and trustworthy. So the id, again, is like the devil on your shoulder. This is the person that is trying to persuade you to unleash these motives, these desires. Pretty crazy. All right, so superego, let's start there then. Go ahead, Sarah.
The superego is the ethical component of the personality and provides the moral standards by which the ego operates.
Good, good. So good moral characteristics, right? So this is the angel on your shoulder. This is the pre-conscious mind. So this is information we can just bring up really a snap of a finger. Okay, so obviously you're not thinking of it now, but Roy, what happened to the Cowboys? They lost playoffs. Yeah, yeah. So you weren't thinking of it at the time, but it's something, information you can draw pretty quick, right? If someone asks you that question. So that's your pre-conscious mind. And the superego is trying to suppress these inner wants, these desires, these needs. And this is the good moral characteristics that we try to abide by, that we try to follow. Do we do it all the time? No, we don't. But it's there to try to, again, suppress these things from the id. All right, good. So superego is like the angel on your shoulder. What about the ego? What do we have for the ego? Ryan, what do you have for the ego?
Ego is a mediator. It's your personality, how you portray yourself to the public.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So this is your conscious mind. Okay, this is what you're thinking of at the moment, at the time. This is your personality that you present. Okay, so people that you interact with, maybe friends, okay, they know your personality. They know your ego. Okay, and this is what you're thinking of at the moment, at the current time. And the ego is a mediator between the superego and the id, right? The angel and the devil on your shoulder. So this is the way you're trying to, this is the characteristics that you display. This is a personality you display by trying to mediate between the superego and the id. All right, is there any questions? We good. So you guys remember the iceberg method? Make sure you guys remember that, because that's going to be on the exam, right? So you might have to label an iceberg and describe it and understand where these are located. Okay. So let's dive into the scenario here, the activity that you're supposed to work with two other classmates. And one person's supposed to be the id, one person's supposed to be superego, and the other the ego. Let's get to them. So let me end this recording.